So I hope you're able to see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll do the 8th problem now. Look at the question. See, the total mass of an elevator with a man of with a 80 kilogram man in it is 1000 kilogram. This elevator is moving upward with a speed of 8 meter per second. Is brought to rest over a distance of 16 meter. Okay. The question is the tension T in the cable supporting the elevator and the force exerted by the man on the elevator floor will respectively be. Okay. So let's first draw a diagram. There is an elevator and there is a man who is standing inside, and the elevator is moving in which direction? It is moving upward with a initial speed of 8 meter per second, and it is brought to rest. Okay, wherever you see this brought to rest concept, what comes to your mind? So distance is 16 meter. So you know initial velocity, you know the distance through which the object has traveled. Why have they given these two information along with the word rest?
Final velocity is 0.
Yes. Final velocity is 0. So v is equal to 0. V is there, u is there, s is there. So what is the equation that will give you the relation between all these three? So v, u and s, which equation are we supposed to apply?
V square minus U square is equal to S.
Yes, v square minus u square is equal to s. Especially this equation should be applied when you see the concept of rest. So from this we can conclude 0 square minus 64 is equal to 2 into a into, what is the distance? It is 16, which implies a is equal to minus 2 meter per second square. So from this, it is very much clear that the elevator is going to decelerate. Any doubt to this step?
No, sir.
So indirectly, we have got the acceleration of the elevator as well, right? So tension is acting in upward direction. The weight of the elevator is acting in downward direction. So can I write T minus mg is equal to m into a, which implies T is equal to m into g plus a. What is the value of tension? Mass is 1000 kilograms, where 1000 the mass of the elevator. G, if I take it as 10, acceleration will be minus 2. So it will be 8000 Newton. So the answer closer to 8000 is 7800. They would have got that because they took the value of G as 9.8. Okay, next. What is the force? So what is the force exerted by the man on the elevator? So what will be the force exerted by the man on the elevator? It will be in which form, guys? So the man is standing, he is having contact with the floor. So it is a weight. So how much is the weight exerted by him? 8 in 80 into, guys, are you able to understand or not? 80 into G is 10. That will be 800 Newton. So 800 Newton means Guys, why no response?
So why? We don't have an option 800.
Sorry?
There's no option 800.
Yeah. So what have they asked? The force exerted on the man by the elevator. I'm sorry. I took the question as force exerted by the man on the. See, this is the force exerted by the man on the elevator. But what is the force exerted by the elevator on the man? Sorry, I read the question wrongly. Force exerted on the man by the elevator floor will be respectively. What is it? So, if I take this force as N, then what is acting in the downward direction? Guys, I need response. Man is there. Man is standing on the floor. What are all the forces acting on him? Tell me. So mg is acting downwards. There will be a normal force acting in the upward direction. Right? What
Yes,
is
sir.
the actual? Yeah. And the lift is also accelerating with 2 meters. So actually, it is minus 2 meters per second square. Have that in your mind. Now tell me. N minus mg, can I write it as m into a? Right. So the force exerted by the elevator on the man is only one, that is normal. So N will be equal to m into g plus a. So m is how much? 80 into g is how much?
9.8, sir.
10 plus acceleration is minus 2. So 80 into 8, it is 640. So answer close to 640. So second 624. So first option is right. So 640 Newton. I hope it's clear.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Make a note of it. So I was waiting to explain the concept of impulse. Okay. So what is Newton's second law, guys? So can someone tell me what is impulse?
It's a product of force and time.
Okay, can you give a better definition to it? That is mathematically.
Well, it's a large amount of force acting on a small area.
Very good.
In like a
So
small
you both are right. Yes, that's right. So large amount of force acting for a very small duration. Right? So impulse generally is represented by symbol G. So impulse is equal to force into time. Okay. So there is a way we write it. Or sometimes we write J is equal to integral of f dt from t1 to t2. You can write it like this also. Provided the force is changing with respect to time, even in that small time interval. Okay, now listen. So what is Newton's second law? F is equal to, don't say F is equal to ma, please. I'm better with that answer. What is the actual definition of?
Change in momentum by change in time.
Yes, it is the rate of change of, so delta P divided by delta T. So which implies F into delta T is equal to delta P. Am I right? So F into delta T is equal to delta P, which means impulse is equal to what? What is delta P?
Change in momentum.
Change in momentum. So here one important point to be kept in your mind is rate of change of, linear momentum. So rate of change of linear momentum is force. If it is only change in momentum, it is impulse. Okay. So please make a clear note of these two. Am I clear, guys? So impulse is always equal to change in linear momentum, and this is called as impulse momentum theorem. And last important point is, if I draw a graph between force and time, then the area under this graph is going to give us the impulse. I hope by now you would have understood when to find area under a graph and when to find slope of a graph, right? When do you find the area under a graph? Looking at the mathematical expression. So how will you know? Suppose,
Integration.
yes. So if the multiplication of x and y axis or integration, then we need to find the area. If it is the ratio of both, then we need to find the slope. So with this concept in mind, let's try to do the seventh problem. The magnitude of the force in Newton acting on a body varies with time, as shown in the figure AB. BC, CD, okay, as shown in the figure. AB, BC, CD, AB, BC, CD are straight line segments. The magnitude of the total impulse of the force on the body from t is equal to 4 seconds to t is equal to 16 microseconds. So what are they asking, guys? Force and time graph is given. They're asking us the impulse. So you need to calculate. You need to calculate the area. So what is going to be the area? Can you tell me?
Area of trapezium plus area of triangle.
Okay. So how much is that? So area of trapezium, half into base. Base is 2 into sum of the parallel sides. That is 200 plus 800. Plus area of the triangle CAD is half into base. That is 10 into height. What is height? 800. It is not 5000 Newton second. Why is my answer not matching? What mistake did I do? It is
Then in
microseconds.
use sec.
It is microseconds. I took it in seconds. So into 10 power minus 6 is what I forgot. So 5000 into 10 power minus 6 newtons. Newton second is right. That is the unit because force into time. No? So 5 into 10 power minus 3 Newton second. So Newton second is also another unit for momentum. So is that an option? Option B. I hope it is clear, guys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. The ninth question is last one. One minute. Now let's do the 10th one. See. An engine of mass 5 into 10 power 4 kilogram pulls a coach of mass 4 into 10 power 4 grams. Suppose that there is a resistance of 1 Newton per 1000 per 100 kilogram acting on both coach and engine, and that the driving force of the engine is 4500 Newton. The acceleration of the engine and tension in the coupling will be. So there are two. Imagine them like two blocks. Okay. So this is the coach, and this is the engine. So the engine is pulling. So the engine is having a mass of, let's say the mass of the engine is capital M. So capital M is equal to 5 into 10 power 4 kilogram. It pulls a coach of mass 4 into 10 power 4 kilogram. Okay. Suppose that there is a resistance of 1 Newton per 100 kilogram. What do you mean by this?
Sir, is it a frictional force?
Okay. You can say it, yeah. So there is a resistance experienced by the coach, and how is the resistance coming to picture? Unlike friction has something like static and all those things that we will discuss later. But here it is not exactly acting like the static friction also, where it has a limiting value. What are they saying? The resistance experienced is 1 Newton per 100 kilogram. What is the meaning of this? For every 100 kilogram mass that is trying to move, that 100 kilogram mass is experiencing a force of how much value? Resistive force of how much value?
1 Newton.
Yes. But actually, how much is the mass actually trying to move? Resistance per 100 kilogram is 1 Newton. So what would be the resistance per, what is the total mass that is trying to move, guys?
4 into 10 power 4.
It's not only 4. The same resistance is experienced by engine also. There are two particles in the system. 5 plus 4 into 10 power 4 kilogram will be how much? How much will it be? Is there anyone who is not clear with what I explained? So this should be 9 into 10 power 4 divided by 100 into 1. So it will be 900 Newton. Accepted?
Yes, sir.
So the total resistance experienced by the engine and the coach put together is going to be 900 Newton. Now the question becomes simple. Everything else is the same. So now they are asking, the driving force of the engine is 4,500, means the engine is exerting a force of 4,500 Newton. The acceleration of the engine and the tension and the coupling will be respectively. So let's draw the free body diagram. You have the engine, 4,500 Newton in this direction, tension will act in the opposite direction. Similarly, tension in this direction, right, the resistive force of 900 Newton is going to act. Now, how will you find the acceleration this? So, what is the net force? See, even without doing this, you could have found the acceleration. What is the net force acting on the system? I'll show you. See, what is the net force acting on the system? 4,500 is acting to the right, and what is the resistive force that is acting on the whole system? That is 900. So, can I say total external force is nothing but 4,500 minus 900? That will be 3,600 Newton. So this 3,600 Newton is responsible for pulling a mass of 9 into 10 power 4 multiplied with acceleration. F is equal to ma. So what will be the value of A, guys? 400. So 400 into 10 power minus 4 is 0.04 meter per second square. Is there an option? So 0.04 meter per second square, the first option. Now how to find the tension? See, actually, in this question, you can actually put it in directly and go. But sometimes what will happen is they will give acceleration as 0.04. More than one option will have that answer. At that time, we need to find the tension. So how to find the tension, guys? So if you take the coach, tension is acting in this direction. There is some resistive force acting in this direction. And the coach is also having an acceleration of 0.04 meter per second square. So T minus R is equal to mass of the coach into A. Can I write it like this? So T minus, what is the reaction force or the resistive force experienced by the coach? See, the total resistive force experienced by the system is 900. Out of the 900, coach, ma,
400.
it is 400. So T minus 400 is equal to mass of the coach is 4 into 10 power 4 into acceleration is 4 into 10 power minus 2. So T minus 400 will be equal to 1600, which implies T will be 2000. So answer is, so I hope everyone is clear.
Yes, sir.
Make a note of it. Eleventh is very, very, very easy. Please solve it. 30 seconds time. It should have been done by now. What is the answer? So there is an object of mass 6 kg which is acted upon by two forces 8 I cap plus 10 j cap and 4 I cap plus 8 j cap. The acceleration produced will be. So F is equal to ma. What is the net force acting on it? Twelve I cap plus 18 j cap is equal to 6 into a. What is the acceleration, guys? 2 I cap plus 3 j cap. That's it. Do it fast. So there is a car of mass 1000 kg moving with a velocity of 18 km per hour converted to meter per second. Is stopped by a brake force of 1000 Newton. The distance covered by it before coming to rest. So before it comes to rest. So I told you, right, the first problem when we did comes to rest means what formula are we supposed to use?
V square minus U
Yeah,
square.
v
is
square
equal
minus u square is equal to 2as. So this is the common formula everywhere, wherever it is coming to rest. So v is 0 minus u is how much? 5 meter per second, that is 25, is equal to 2 into what is the acceleration that is acting?
-1.
Okay. You can write it as 1. Okay, you want to say it's a retarding acceleration. -1 into what is the displacement? That is what we need to find. So answer is
12.5.
next. There is a block of metal weighing 2 kg is resting on a frictionless plane. It is struck by jet releasing water at a rate of 1 kg per second at a speed of 5 meter per second. The initial acceleration of the block will be. So there is a block. The block is made up of some metal. It is resting on what kind of a surface? A frictionless plane. It is struck by jet releasing water at a rate of 1 kg per second at a speed of 5 meter per second. Okay. The initial acceleration of the block will be. So what is the mass of the block? 2 kg. You people tell me how to approach this. What idea is coming to your mind? So generally what can we do to move this block? You can use your hand to push it, but they are not using it. Instead what they are using is they are taking the help of a jet of water. Right? If suppose you have a pipe here, from the pipe the water is hit on this, due to which the block starts accelerating. They're asking what is the initial acceleration. So if you need to find the acceleration, we need to find what is force. But to find the force, what are all the data that they have given? is struck by a jet releasing water at a rate of 1 kilogram per second at a speed of 5 meter per second. Is there anything that you can relate to speed and mass?
Sir, we can use m into v minus u by t.
Yes. So I can use m into v minus u by t, but here, observe. If you read the question carefully, what is the speed with which the water is hitting the block? What is the speed with which the water is hitting the block? They have given it.
5
It is
meter
5
per
meter per. It is 5 meter per second. So, since they are asking only the initial acceleration, they are not concerned about what is happening after some time. Initially, if the block has to move, the velocity. So, force is given as dp by dt, right? But what is changing with respect to time? So, d into, can I write it as mv divided by dt? So, initially, when the water is going and hitting the surface, out of the mass and velocity, which one is changing according to this question?
velocity.
Velocity is the same now. Velocity is 5 meter per second. It is the mass that is changing because they have told 1 kilogram per second. So V is how much? 5 into dm by dt is how much? 1 will be equal to mass of the block is how much? 2 into A, because F is equal to ma. So acceleration will be how much? 2.5 meter per second. See, these are the questions will be. You can expect them. Okay. So I'm going to the next problem. See, you guys have any doubt, you have to stop and ask. Okay. I'm moving on to the next problem. A man fires the bullets of mass small m, each with velocity v, with the help of a machine gun. If he fires n bullets every second, the reaction force per second on the man will be. So I want you people to tell me how to do it. So what is coming to your mind? So man fires bullets of mass m each with the velocity v with the help of a machine gun. If he fires n bullets every second, the reaction force per second on the man will be.
The change in momentum by change in time.
That's right. So since they are asking reaction force, what comes to your mind? Again, Newton's second law, because velocity is spoken. Velocity comes, momentum has to be involved. So dp by dt. So F is equal to d into mv divided by dt. This is the force experienced due to one bullet. There is a force experienced due to one bullet, right? Force experienced due to n bullets will be. But here, if you see, small n is not the number of bullets. Rather, what have they given? Read the question.
Number of bullets per second.
It is number of bullets per second. So how many bullets are actually fired per second? So n into 1. Okay. So what we need is f into dt is equal to n into derivative of mv. That is change in momentum. So f into, since they are asking force per second, so this is the force that is acting per second, is equal to small n into, what is the change in momentum base? Final momentum minus initial momentum. So small n into, what is the momentum with which the bullet is coming out? mv minus initially the gun was at rest. So n into mv will be the force experienced by the person in 1 second. So f is equal to m into n into. Mark this as an important problem. I've seen this kind of questions many times. Now listen. 15th. There is a body of mass 15 kilogram moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second to be stopped by a resistive force in 15 seconds. The force will be. This you can do it. Combination of this chapter and kinematics.
Sir, is it 10 Newton?
10, no? Yes, that's right. So how did you do? Mass is given 15 kilogram. The force will be, is moving with a velocity of 10 meter per second. Is to be stopped by a resistive force in 15 seconds. The force will be. So u is 10 meter per second. So you can apply v minus u is equal to 80. V is 0 minus 10 is equal to acceleration into time is 15. So a is equal to minus 2 by 3 meters per second square. So what will be the resistive force? The resistive force will be mass into acceleration. That will be minus 10 Newton. Okay. Next. A cricket ball of mass 250 grams moving at the velocity of 24 meters per second is hit by a bat so that it acquires a velocity of 28 meters per second in the opposite direction. The force acting on the ball, the contact time is 1 by 100th of a second will be. So generally, if you observe here, there is a collision that is taking place. So what do you think is happening with respect to the ball after it hits, before it hits the ball and after it hits the ball? There is a change in some parameter. What is changing? So why have they given contact time, guys?
Impulse.
Impulse.
Good, very good. Do it. So you people solve and tell me. So cricket ball of mass 250 gram moving to a velocity of 24 meter per second is hit by a bat so that it acquires a velocity of 28 meter per second in the opposite direction. The force acting on the ball. So F into the force exerted by the bat into the time is equal to what is going to happen? Change in momentum. So force is what we need to calculate. What is the time? Time is 1 by 100th of a second is equal to, what is the value of delta P, guys? final minus initial. So what is the final momentum? If you take the right side direction as positive, so mass of the ball is 250 into 10 power minus 3 into final velocity is 28 minus what would have been the initial velocity?
Minus 24.
Yes, don't miss that minus, okay? Minus 24. So 250 into 10 power minus 3 into 28 plus 24 is 52. So 52. So 52 into 250 is how much? I think it's somewhere related to 30. So what is 25 to 52, guys?
13,000.
300, sir.
So 13,000 into 10 power minus 1, 1300 Newton. So it is going to be 1300 Newton in the direction of the ball. That is the final direction of the ball. Okay. So let's go a little fast. So there is a force of 2 Newton that is applied on a particle for 2
Sir.
seconds. Yeah, tell me.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah, please.
Why is it 13,000 into 10 power minus 1?
Because there is there, no?
Okay,
10
sir.
power
Okay.
minus. So next, there is a force of 2 Newton that is applied on a particle for 2 seconds. The change in momentum will be force time 5 seconds work. Answer, change in momentum is equal to force into time. Answer, 2 Newtons. It's impulse, right? Next, there is an object of mass 2 kg that is moving along the x direction with a velocity of 2 meters per second. If a force of 4 Newton is applied on it along y direction for 1 second, the final velocity of the particle will be. I want everybody to use vectors and solve this. Vectors in the sense, use the proper unit vectors, I cap and j cap and so on. There is a force of 4. So wherever they say force is applied for a particular duration, then indirectly what are they trying to speak about? So how many of you solved it, or you're not getting idea at all? What is happening?
Sir, is it 2 root 2 meter per second?
That's right. 2 root 2 meter per second is right. So how to do? Wherever force and time is given, what comes to our mind? It is change in momentum. So that is impulse is equal to change in momentum. So 4 j cap into the time is 1 second is equal to mass is 2 into velocity vector minus initial velocity vector is 2 I cap. So 2 j cap is equal to v vector minus 2 I cap, which implies v vector will be 2 times I cap plus 2 j cap. Harini, is this the way you did?
Sir, I found out the acceleration and then applied v is equal to u plus at.
Okay, that is also right. Or else you can go with this way. That is what I meant by using vectors. Okay. So velocity vector will be 2 root 2 meter per second. Impulse is a very important concept. Do it. A cricket ball of mass 150 grams is moving with a velocity of 12 meter per second and is hit by a bat so that the ball is turned back with a velocity of 20 meter per second. The force on the ball acts for 0.01 seconds. The average force exerted by the bat on the ball will be. Same story. F into delta t is equal to delta p. So F into delta p is 0.01 is equal to delta p is how much? 150 into 20 minus of minus 12. So 150 into 32. How much is this, guys? So 10 into 32 is 325 into 32 is 160. 320, 160, 480 here. So 480 or 4800. F into 10 power minus 2 into 10 power minus 3 is what I forgot. Because the ball's mass is in gram. So 4800 into 10 power minus 3 into 10 power 2. That will be 4.8 into 10 power 2, 480 Newton. th. An object of mass 20 kg moving with a speed of 3 meter per second rebounds on the ball with the same velocity. The impulse on the body is change in momentum 20 into what is the change in momentum? A change in velocity, guys.
6 meter per second.
That's right. So it is 120 Newton second. Next. So I want you all to try these problems. So there is a man of 60 kg is on the floor of a lift moving down. The lift moves at first with an acceleration of 3 meters per second square, then with a constant velocity, and finally with a retardation of 3 meters per second square. Choose the correct options related to the possible reactions exerted by the lift on the body in each part of the motion. So it is more than one option which is correct. So there is a man, there is an elevator, So there is a reaction force exerted by the floor. There is mg in this downward direction. So first case, what is happening? The lift moves at first with an acceleration of 3 meters per second square. Alright. The lift is moving down. So acceleration is 3 meters per second square. This is case 1. So what will be the reaction force by the lift? See, tell me one thing. Have you guys heard about a force called a pseudo force?
Heard about it.
Yes or no?
I've only heard about it.
Only?
I only heard about it, sir.
Yes, sir.
Oh, you
Only
want-
the name we know, sir.
Okay. So write it down. There is also another theoretical part. I will add it. No. Worries. Write down the heading as pseudo force. Okay. Now I'm going to discuss about it. But before we discuss about pseudo force, you need to understand when is this applicable. Okay. See, first of all, pseudo means something which is actually not existing. It is virtual. That is the meaning of pseudo. Okay. Now, I've told you what is a frame of reference. Let's say there is a frame where you are standing and you are observing the motion of some other object. Okay. Let's say there is another person who is moving on this, moving within the same moving in the same frame of reference with an acceleration a. Now, if you stand here and if I put a question like this, what is the acceleration with which this guy is moving? What will you say? So this is the frame of reference. Okay, I'm repeating it again. You're standing in a frame of reference, that is, you're in a particular plane. Let's say you're within a rectangle or within a train. Okay, imagine this as a coach. You're within a coach where you have a fellow passenger who's walking inside and you're sitting and watching him. Okay. Let's say that the person is walking with an acceleration. Let's say you have some sensor in your hand due to which you're able to find his acceleration. Let's say his acceleration is 3 meters per is A. Okay. What will your answer be? How will you report the answer? You will say his acceleration is A only. If suppose this frame is moving with a constant speed v. Okay, that is the train has started moving. The train is now moving with a constant speed v. If I ask you a question, what is the acceleration of that person? What will your answer be? Now, is it still going to be A, that is, let's say 3 meters per second square? Is it still going to be that value? Or is it going to be less than that or more than that? Speak out something. You can guess.
Sir, is it still A because the acceleration of the train is 0?
It is still A because what is the important word I told you? I told you the train is moving with a constant velocity. When something is moving with constant velocity, it is not going to exert any force. Here, if you observe, the acceleration has something to do with force only. The acceleration of this person will change the moment he starts experiencing an external force. There is no force that is acting on him. Right? If suppose he's having an acceleration, the whole frame of reference is having an acceleration of a naught, then what will happen?
His acceleration will be a plus a naught.
The answer is it will not be a plus a naught, because when the train is accelerating, what is happening to you? What is happening to you? You have
He will
also
also
attained an acceleration a naught. When I ask you the reading, you cannot add your acceleration also to him. Rather, let's say, for example, the train is accelerating with a value of 5 meters per second square. Okay, and this person is accelerating with a value of 1 meter per second square. Then what will be the acceleration that you will be recording? You think his acceleration is going to be 5 plus 1, 6. So acceleration is according to whom is the question, because I'm talking about frame of reference. Who is the observer here? You are the observer. Okay, so according to you, what is going to be its acceleration? Till now, your sensor was showing a reading of 1 meter per second square. But going forward, what will happen is, due to the inertia of direction, you will feel as if this person is moving in the backward direction. Okay, and the acceleration, the effective acceleration of this person going forward is not going to be 1 meter per second square anymore. It is going to be the difference of those two values. Okay, so why I explained all these things is, depending on the frame of reference. Okay, so there are three scenarios possible. One is the frame of reference can be at rest, means its velocity is 0, or it can have a uniform motion. When it has uniform motion, its velocity is constant. And the third is it can accelerate. That is, velocity is varying, or A is non-zero. Here A is 0. Here also A is 0. You're able to understand the three scenarios, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So in these three scenarios, there are different names given to it. Observe. So the names that are given to the initial frame, the frames of reference which do not accelerate. I'm stressing on the word because many of them think that the frame of reference should not move. It can move, but it needs to move with a constant velocity. Okay, so that is why I'm stressing on the point again. So the frames of reference which are not accelerating are called as inertial frames of reference. And the frames which are accelerating are called as non-inertial frames of reference. Are you guys able to understand this too? So, pseudo force is applied to those frames of reference which accelerate, because Newton's laws are mostly applicable only for inertial frames of reference. So if you have a frame of reference which is non-inertial in nature, to make the whole frame of reference as an inertial frame, we need to apply something called as a pseudo force. How to apply, I will explain. But tell me one thing, are you clear when to apply it? If you see a particular question, in that question, if you say that the frame of reference is having what? acceleration, then you need to apply something called as pseudo force. Okay, and the formula for pseudo force is mass of the object under observation multiplied with, please make a note of it, acceleration of frame of reference. Now I will take a very simple example. Understand. Let's say there is a block of mass m which is pulled by a force F. Okay, there is a tension of there is a force of F that is applied on a block of mass m. If I ask you to calculate the acceleration of this, provided this is an inertial frame of reference, then what will be the value? You can tell me in one step.
0.
No. Inertial frame now. What did I say? The frame of reference is not accelerated. Means, again, think of this. Let's say this is your school bus. Okay. In your school bus, you have your bag lying on the floor. And you're trying to pull the bag with a force of F. Then is your bag going to move or not? It is going to move. The question is with what acceleration it is going to move. The answer is very simple. Force is equal to mass into acceleration, because your school bus was at rest or it is having uniform motion, whatever it is. Till it is an inertial frame of reference, the school bus has no effect on your bag. Whereas you're trying to pull the same school bag, and let's say in a signal, the driver of the bus is trying to decelerate it. Okay, he's applying the brakes. So what will happen is the bus is no more going to move with a constant speed or going to be at rest. Let's say it is accelerating. Okay, I'll take a reverse scenario. Your bus was stopped at a traffic signal. Now the signal is changed to green. So what will the driver do? He'll press the accelerator. So accelerator means the bus will start accelerating. So when it starts to accelerate, let's say the acceleration of the bus itself is a naught. So there is someone else sitting inside and observing you. Then what will be the answer for acceleration that is going to be reported by him? So for that, you need to understand one thing. What frame of reference are you in the second scenario?
Non-inertial.
Non-inertial.
So if you are in the non-inertial frame. So whenever I told you it is a non-inertial frame, you need to apply a pseudo force. So you need to apply a pseudo force on whom? On the object that you are trying to study. So the object that you're trying to study here is your bag. There is a force. Okay. The bag is definitely going to accelerate, but the important question here is how are you going to apply the pseudo force? I'll be back in a minute. Now listen, guys. So the acceleration on the block is A. But since it is a non-inertial frame, we need to add a pseudo force to this object in the direction opposite to the, okay. So pseudo force means, please make another note, pseudo force is applied to those frames of reference which accelerate. It is applied on the objects in the direction opposite to A naught. So here what do I mean by A naught is the acceleration of the frame itself. Okay, this is a very, very important point. Write it down. It is applied on the objects in the direction opposite to A naught. Why it is applied and all, it's a big story. Unnecessary things will confuse you. Okay. So what are we supposed to do? I need to apply. So here in this case, your bus is accelerating in the rightward direction. Right. So for pseudo force, which direction should I apply?
Left.
That is nothing but mass of the object under observation m into acceleration of the frame of reference, that is A naught. Did you guys understand this? Now what is going to be the acceleration of the system? F minus m into A naught divided by m is what is the acceleration. So you're able to understand the difference between this and this. So this is when you have a non-inertial frame. If for a non-inertial frame, A naught would have been 0. When A naught is 0, you can observe it becomes an inertial frame. You would have got this answer. Am I clear, guys? Now see. Okay. See, one small correction I would like to make. I'm extremely sorry about this. The observer should not be within the inertial frame, within the non-inertial frame, they should be outside. Okay, you're observing from here. Okay. Now see, there is a block of mass m lying here. And our interest of study is to find what is the reaction force experienced by it, provided, let's say there is an elevator, okay. There is a block which is kept in an elevator. Here I'm saying the elevator is at rest or velocity is uniform. Now what will your answer be? What is the reaction force? See, you need to answer first. Rest or velocity is uniform. What kind of frame of reference?
Inertial.
Inertial means what will happen? Inertial means you directly need to solve the problem. You need not think of any pseudo force or something. See, just because you have learned a new concept, you need not think in the case of inertial and all. You need to apply that only when you have non-inertial. How will you solve this problem if this is given to you? What are
R
the two
equal
forces?
to mg.
That's it. R is equal to mg. That's it. You need not think also. If suppose the same lift is accelerating in the upward direction with the value of A naught. Then what would have been the reaction force exerted by it?
Mg plus Ma naught.
That's it. That's right. So R will be like this. Mg is downwards. Pseudo force should be applied in the downward direction m a naught. So R would have been m into g plus a naught. So you people got it. Similarly, if it is moving in the upward direction, mg, pseudo force should be applied in upward direction. So answer will be m into g minus a naught. See, it is very, very simple for you to visualize. You people would have gone to exhibitions, right? So in the exhibition, if you go to rides, did you ever go on a giant wheel? You will be sitting here, it is going to rotate, right? I think most of you would have experienced it.
Yes.
You sit on a giant wheel and it is going to, let's say it is revolving anti-clockwise direction, okay? Have you ever sensed this? When you go in the upward direction, you will feel heavy. When you come in the downward direction, you will feel as if your stomach is completely empty and you are like floating in the air. Have you ever experienced it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You have done it, right?
Yeah.
So, if suppose the wheel is moving in the upward direction with an acceleration a naught, what exactly is going to happen is you tend to feel that your weight has increased. That is why if you see, when the lift is moving in the upward direction, what is a reaction force exerted by it? It is m into g plus a naught, means it is like your weight has increased. But actually it has not got increased. But when it is moving, something is getting added to your weight. You're able to understand? Similarly, when the same giant wheel is moving in downward direction, you look at your weight. Now your weight is no more mg. It is m into g minus a naught. Why I am saying your weight is because if I say this reaction force, it is the reaction force that is shown if at all I have a weighing machine kept here. That is why if you see, you would have actually experienced this in lift also, but lift is, you cannot experience it much because it is not going to accelerate with a very high value. Okay. So if I keep a weighing machine here, and on the weighing machine, if I keep a block, then that weighing machine's reading will exactly be mg, and that will be the exact reaction force offered. Whereas if I keep a weighing machine here and move the block in the upward direction with acceleration a naught, the weighing machine will show a greater reading. If I move it in the downward direction, the weighing machine will show a less reading. All this is happening because of the concept of pseudo force. Okay. So using the same logic, I want you to tell me what is the answer. Here, how did I know that I am supposed to apply pseudo force? Because they told that the lift is accelerating. So in the first case, the lift is accelerating in which direction, guys?
Downward.
Downward. So when the lift is moving in downward direction, think of your giant wheel. When you move in downward direction, will your weight decrease or increase? You'd feel as if you're floating.
Decrease.
So m into g minus a naught. Since you people know it, because see, common mistake that happens is mg is downward, a naught is also downward. We tend to write it as m into g plus a naught. But remember that a naught is not the acceleration of the block, rather it is for the lift. So m is how much? Mass of the person is 60. G is how much? 10 minus a naught is 3. So 60 into 10 minus 3, 7 is 420. So the one which is close to 420 is Force will 8 Newton. This is for case 1. So case 2, it is moving with a constant velocity, means the lift is behaving like an inertial frame. That time R will be equal to
mg.
180. Oh, sorry.
180 radar. So 60 into 10, 600. That is 588 because they have taken 9.8. It is clear. 6 8 is 48. No. So case 3, what will happen? Just finally with the retardation. Retardation means it is moving in the upward direction. I mean, see, it is not moving in the upward direction. Retardation means the acceleration is in the opposite direction to the motion of the lift. Remember, the lift is still moving in downward direction. Mg, this R. So R will be equal to M into G plus A naught. That will be 60 into 10 plus 3. So 60 into 13, that will be 780. Guys, are you clear now?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Will you
Yes,
try the
sir.
next one? So all these are based on the concept of pseudo force. Try the next one. So reading of spring balance. Lift. When the lift is moving upwards. So when the lift is moving upwards, the spring balance will show more reading. So M into G plus A naught. Lift. Downward. Less reading. M into G minus A naught. So M is how much? 10 into G is 10 plus A naught is how much? G by 3. That is 10 by 3. 10 into 10 minus 10 by 3. So 10 into 40 by 3. 400 by 3 is how much? 40 by 3, 400. Yeah, 400 by 3 is? There's no option. Yeah, they have asked the reading in the spring balance. See, spring balance will show two readings. What are they? One is mass and the second is weight. If you look at the options, they have given the mass. 400 by 3 is 133 point something. So the mass will be 13.3. So this is for upward. Downward means 20 by 3. 200 by 3 is 6.67. This is for downward. Right? Now you people tell me what is the answer for 23rd. Choose the correct options. So first one, is it right? A reference frame in which Newton's first law is valid is called inertial reference frame. Accepted?
Yes, sir.
I told you, no, inertial frame, Newton's laws are applicable. Second, frame moving with a constant velocity relative to known inertial frame is also an inertial frame.
Yes, sir.
Ideally, no inertial frame exists in the universe. For practical purpose, a frame of reference may be considered as inertial if its acceleration is negligible with respect to the acceleration of the object to be observed. Is it right or wrong? This is also right because we know that Earth is also revolving. Earth is also having some acceleration, but ideally what we do is, since it is very small compared to the other accelerations, we approximate it to inertial frames of reference. So this is also right. Look at the fourth one. To measure the acceleration of falling apple, Earth cannot be considered as an inertial frame.
It's
It's
not
wrong
correct.
because Earth is also considered as an inertial frame. Okay. So here some theory is given. It's like comprehension type question. Okay. So do the 24th. Make it fast. All are one steps only. There is a spring weighing machine inside a stationary lift. Reads 50 kilograms. Stationary inertial frame. When a man standing on it, what would happen to the scale reading? The lift is moving upward with a constant velocity. So when it is moving upward with a constant velocity, the weight is going to remain the same. When it is moving with a constant acceleration, okay, look at the options and tell. So when it is moving upward with a constant acceleration, it is mg plus ma naught. Mg is 50 plus 50 by g into a naught. Answer will be A. So 25th. A 25 kilogram lift is supported by a cable. The acceleration of the lift when the tension of the cable is 175 Newton will be direct. F is equal to m into A. Mass is how much? 25 into A. So A will be how much, guys?
Seven.
7 should be the answer. But there is no option, right? I think some data is missing. Invalid. Forget this. One last problem. There is an object which is suspended by a string from the ceiling of an elevator. It is observed that the tension in the string is doubled when the elevator is accelerated. The acceleration will be. So, string and a block. So, when the system is at rest, T will be equal to mg. Right. When the elevator is accelerated, with A, then T will be equal to m into g plus A. So what is the new tension that is acting? 2T is equal to mg plus ma. But remember, mg is nothing but T. So T will be equal to ma. So what is the acceleration of the object? Sorry, any doubt?
I said the answer.
Okay. So that's all from my side for today. You can wind up the session.